Hello and welcome back to Rue's Life. So here I am in the Polytunnel again. It's the beginning of March. It's later on in the afternoon. It's 13 degrees here inside the Polytunnel and it's 7 degrees outside. So it's quite a mild day, but as always there is a significant difference between outside and in here in the tunnel. Now there's not a huge amount going on at the moment. It is that time of year where we're all itching to get going, but it's really important to just be patient because, as I've explained in previous videos, there's no point being too eager and getting all your seeds in and ending up with seedlings and plants when you know where to put them because the conditions outside aren't ready. So I do have behind me some seeds that I've already sown and I've got some reasonable germination on those. There are still in a bed that you can't see, just out of shot, some leek. There's some leek in the bed behind me and some carrots. And that's pretty much all I've got going on here at the moment. But I have made my list of what I'll be sowing in March, and you can see that in a previous video. And I've got my plans for the year ahead and all the changes and all the things that I'm going to be developing here in the Polytunnel and outside on the plot. So I'm quite excited about that growing year ahead. So I thought I'd just pop on today and just have a little chat here from the Polytunnel about what's going on at the moment. So as I say, it's early in March. I have got my plans for what I'm going to be sowing and growing, but I'm just going to sit tight and wait until the middle of March, towards the end of March, to start those seeds off. I have still got one of the 3 outdoor beds that I had laid some chicken bedding on top of, and I want to add a layer of the leaf mulch and then a final top dressing of compost so that that's also ready for planting. I've done 2 of the beds. I've got my garlic and my onions into the middle bed, and as I say, I want to finish that end bed off so that's ready for planting. So that's a job that I can be doing. Then I've got my herb bed, which is across by the house next to the woodshed, and that just needs a bit of a trim and tidy up and give those herbs that are coming again the chance to come by giving them a little prune and seeing what space I've got left to put some more herbs in. I will be getting my hanging baskets ready. The geraniums are currently in the house, and I like to have, there's 3 baskets, I like to have those red geraniums hanging around the woodshed. And then I've got the pots that I have in front of the house. They have still got all the dead flowers from last year, so all that's died back, I need to pull those out and get fresh compost in those ready for planting up again this season. And then there is the bed that's against the woodshed, which is where I grow my sweet peas, calendula, nasturtium and my sunflowers. And again, it's still got all of last year's dead plants in there and they need to be pulled out, and I'll pop some fresh compost on top so that's then ready for planting up again this season. So that's pretty much all that's going on at the moment and what I'll be doing sort of quite imminently with the planting and growing of the vegetables and the flowers. And then with regard to the rest of the farm, the chickens are still being kept under cover, and that's because of the avian flu that is currently a risk in the UK. They are coping really well, but if it does go on for much longer, we do have a plan as to how we can give them a little bit more space, because obviously normally they would be free ranging around the orchard and we're just not able to do that with them at the moment. So I am providing them with lots of environmental enrichment. They've got perches and branches and twigs they can jump on and off. They've got the 3 areas that they can be in, so we've got the nest box at the back where they sleep and also lay, and then when they come down the steps they've got the middle area, and then we've created an extra area at the front. And I'm adding in shavings to the bottom of that just to help with the mud, because it does rain and it does get quite wet, so those shavings just keep it dry underfoot. I've got a pallets down where I feed them, and that means they can hop up onto that again and have nice dry feet and a dry feeding area. and I've been hanging lettuce and apples and various other bits and pieces, hanging those on strings for them to enjoy, and also scattering around things like grapes and blueberries, which they love, and it just gives them something to forage for. So it's just keeping them physically and mentally active and stimulated. So that's the chickens. The sheep are still currently in their winter grazing, and that's the furthest field from the house, and it's on quite a steep slope, which I may have mentioned before, and it's great for the sheep over winter. It's quite a big field. As I say, it is on a slope. They can get out of the sort of wind if they need to. There's lots of hedges they can tuck themselves under, and also because of the way that it slopes, there are lots of dips and areas that they can sort of hunker down if the weather isn't too brilliant. But they have pretty much eaten most of the grass in there now, so we're getting ready to move them. Now normally they would stay there and I wouldn't move them until their sort of spring summer paddock, which is right at the front of the farm, is ready. But we've actually got quite a lot of grass at the moment in the field which is in front of the stables, and it's also the field which we have the mowed 20 by 40 metre area, which is where I exercise and school the horses and practice my dressage. But it's really quite lush with grass at the moment. Now I never graze the horses in that area because it is an area that I expect them to work, and we've got plenty of paddocks for them to graze, and they can roll and they can run around, they can buck, they can do as they please. And I think it's really important that I don't try and exercise and discipline the horses in an area in which they're normally allowed to just do their own thing. And that's personal preference. Other people might do things differently, but I have found over the years that that works really well. They know that when they're in that area, that's an area, you know, to concentrate and listen, and you know, no messing about really. And I think it's quite unfair to expect them, if that was an area that I allowed them to graze, where they can, as I say, buck and gallop and jump around and you know, generally get up to high jinks, that when I'm actually riding, I'm saying, well, no, you can't do that now. So I think, personally, I think it's very important for them mentally to understand this is an area for work and everywhere else is where you can play. So as I say, that area is quite grassy, so I will be moving the sheep into that area, and they can graze that down for us, and it also saves us a job with the tractor having to top it. I do mow the middle area with the sit-on mower during the summer months. That keeps it nicely mown, and it's a really nice riding surface. So that's the sheep. And then the horses, so they have spent the majority of the winter months in the top winter field. I then moved them across into the field next door. They've pretty much decimated that now. There's a little bit of grass left on that. And I've just moved the two big horses, so Garth and Fish, into a middle paddock, which has actually got a decent amount of grass on it. I will still be supplementing with their hard feeds, so their bucket feeds, and also some haylage. This is a time of year when we have to be really careful. We're so nearly through the winter, but a lot of horses will start to lose condition now because they do need that supplementary feeding, and if you leave them on the grazing that they've been on all winter, there's really very little nutrition left there, if any grass at all. So that's why I've moved them, but I will continue to supplement their feed so that they don't lose weight. Equally with the little pony, with Sunny, I've actually left him on the field that I've moved the other two off, so the three of them have been in there together. Because he is a native breed of pony, they are very prone to putting weight on, and once that weight's on, it's quite difficult to shake it off, and it does come with a number of health implications. So it might sound a bit mean that I'm leaving him there on his own and there's not a huge amount of grazing, but it's actually for his own good. He will still get his bucket feed and a little bit of haylage. I'll be interacting with him regularly. He can see the other horses, and he's quite happy and content in there on his own, just for a period of weeks, as I say, for his good health, to keep him healthy and happy. I could do with him just losing a little bit of weight at this time of the year, so that when he goes into the summer months, when the grass really does start to come through, you know, he's not going to suddenly pile those pounds on. So that's pretty much where we're up to at the moment. as I say, it's that time of year, isn't it? We're so close to spring and we're so excited about the growing season ahead. And as I say, I've got so many plans and I'm so excited about getting some more seeds going, and it's not going to be many weeks before we're really starting to get going. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments below what your plans are. Are you growing anything different this year? So for me, I will be trying aubergine, which I've never grown before. I love aubergines, so I'm looking forward to having a go at growing those. And I'm also going to bite the bullet and my nemesis of brassicas, particularly Brussels sprouts, which historically I have had nothing but trouble with. This year I'm going to have another go. Having left it for years, I'm going to face my fears and I'm going to have another go at growing brassicas. So is there anything you're starting this year for the first time, or are you going to actually have a go at something that you've struggled with in the past? Are you going to be doing it differently? How are you going to tackle it? So I'd be really interested to hear that from you. Are you making any changes? Are you growing for the first time, or if you have been growing for some time, you know, if you've got some new beds or some new exciting plans, as I say, drop me a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. So thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you're new to my channel, do please consider subscribing. Give me a thumbs up if you've liked this video. And if you do subscribe, remember to hit that bell so you get notifications of all my latest videos. And if you have already subscribed, then thank you ever so much. I really do appreciate it. So that's all for today. Take care, and I'll see you all again soon.